Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah and this is Jar of Fireflies. Here I make videos all about my life as an Orthodox Jewish homeschooling mother of 4. And today I'll be answering your questions. Okay, I don't know how long I have because the baby is sleeping, but we are just gonna see and dive into these questions. Okay, so first question, can the children write in Hebrew? Yes, the children who can write in Hebrew. Can the children write in Ladino? We do not know Ladino. That is not really part of like my husband's culture. His family immigrated to Morocco around 1492. So they speak like Arabic and French and Hebrew. So he grew up learning those 3 languages. So he is fluent in those languages and my kids in Hebrew and English. That answers your other question, Hebrew or Ladino to his family. It is Hebrew, sometimes Arabic. Okay, next question. Name 3 favorite adult books and 3 favorite kid books. Okay, this question is entirely impossible, I just must say. There are too many good books out there. Okay, narrowing down this to 3 super duper hard. Okay, first kids book. Stella Luna. This book is it's very worn family favorite of ours. We've read it more times than I can count. It's a children's book, it's a picture book, but yeah, it's just such a beautiful story, beautiful illustrations. We love this book. Next, total classic, Charlotte's Web. It's the first like novel chapter book that I read to all of my kids out loud. We love this book. I cry every time Charlotte dies. And Mandy, this is by Julie Andrews. Yes, that Julie Andrews. She's an incredible writer. She's written several books, but this one is our absolute favorite by her. It's about a little girl who lives in an orphanage. She finds a little cottage in the woods behind the orphanage and adventure ensues. Okay, for 3 adult books, does Anne of Green Gables count? I'm going with Anne of Green Gables counting. I do love Anne of Green Gables. Also, Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. For those of y'all keeping track, this has been my Jane Austen year. I have like 1 book by Jane Austen left to read this year. A third book, I would probably say Little Women. Little Women, I really love. My physical copy of Little Women is in a room where my baby is sleeping, so I'm not gonna go back there and disturb him and risk not being able to chat with you guys today. So Little Women is the last one. Okay, this next question is about keeping kosher. She's saying that she looked after a couple who kept kosher, but she realizes that they did things differently than I do, like more relaxed. She's asking, can you explain the different styles or depths of observance? And do you verify all your rice, eggs, produce, etc. yourself? Much love from South Africa. Okay, yes, there are variations in how people keep kosher. There is kosher and there is not kosher. Some people will say things like, I keep kosher style. I used to say this a long time ago, that I kept kosher style, meaning I didn't mix meat and dairy together, but like I would go out to a restaurant that wasn't kosher or eat like non-kosher chicken, you know, but just not put cheese on it. That is not keeping kosher. That is called kosher style, but it is not kosher. So don't be confused by that. Now, once you hit like actual kosher, there are variances in the level of observance there. So there's something like, for example, Bet Yosef, meat. Bet Yosef is where it's a more stringent kind of keeping kosher than just plain glatt kosher. Most people in America keep glatt kosher. Bet Yosef is kind of more of a Sephardi thing, but I'm sure you could find Ashkenaz who keep it too. So yeah, there's basically a lot of variations in how people keep kosher. I could not get into all of them in this video, not in a Q&A, like it would literally take its own video, but I hope that gives you sort of a nutshell that there's kosher, there's not kosher, and then there's levels of observance within actually keeping kosher. That might have been more confusing than not answering. I don't know. Okay, next question. Is the morning prayer always the same or does the text change depending on the day or time of the year? And if it's the same, do you still read it or is it more a habit to follow the text you've memorized over the years? So for the most part, the text does remain the same. There are a few parts of the Amidah prayer that will change throughout the year because of what we're asking for in that prayer that does pertain to the seasons. So yes, there's like very minor changes in that prayer that I do have to pay attention to. There's also differences throughout the month. For example, if it's a fast day, there's something different that I say. If it's Rosh Chodesh, the first of the Jewish month, there's something different that I say. Additions, these are additions. So it does change periodically, but that's that prayer. All the other prayers are staying the same. Okay, as far as the prayers, like, does it just become like rote, saying it every day, the same thing? It can, for sure it can. And that's something that I need to be aware of and cognizant of, that I am not just like saying the words and my mind is wandering, because that totally happens. It is hard to focus on these words. It honestly is, especially when you are saying them every day. So yes, and that is something that I work on literally every day to keep my focus. Okay. Next question. Before meeting your husband, did you follow the Ashkenaz or Sephardic tradition? So I converted to Judaism with an Ashkenaz rabbi in an Ashkenaz community. So I did follow Ashkenaz customs. However, as soon as I got engaged to my husband, I began with the Sephardi customs. So even before I got married. Next question. Do you still have to say a bread prayer for gluten-free bread? I'm not Jewish and I find this religion fascinating. Thanks. You're so welcome. Okay, there is a blessing that we say, a short blessing that we say before we eat bread. There is also one we say before we eat gluten-free bread, but it is different. So, because bread has like its own special blessing, and then other foods, there's like, what, 5? Don't quote me on that. I think there's about 5 blessings. Anyways, yeah, so there's like different blessings that we'll say for different foods, and bread does have its own. So gluten-free bread would have a separate blessing. It falls under just grains. Usually it falls under grains. Depends on what it's made out of, because gluten-free bread can be made many different ways. All right, next question. Can you guys have cheese and fish? That's technically not meat and dairy. Okay, so in my family, it is our tradition not to have fish and dairy together. We're Sephardi. Most Sephardim do this, not all. Sephardim vary greatly in our customs because we have, Sephardi Jews from Morocco, like my husband. We have Sephardi Jews from Iraq, from Syria, from Egypt, from, like all these Middle Eastern, North African countries, and Spain, of course, Spain too. So yeah, there are a lot of customs within Sephardi Jews. Okay, but I think for the most part, you'll find that they are like us, where we don't do dairy and fish together. However, most Ashkenaz will do dairy and fish together. Okay, next question. You are amazingly strong. How do you manage this outlook? That is very kind of you. Thank you. I'm honestly not even, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know. I think I've pushed myself over the years. I've tried to develop that part of me, that strong part of me. I don't think I was always that way, for sure. I used to be a painfully shy child, and now I do public speaking. So yeah, I have pushed myself to grow and change. I have done the scary things, pushed myself to do the things that I didn't think that I could do, whether it was doing the Ironman triathlon or running an ultra marathon or starting a class and wondering if people would even show up, and now having it be a regular thing. And it's just all those things like that. Like, I push myself to do the things that are scary to do. That is how I have managed to grow in that area of my life. As far as being strong, I think that definitely affects like my strength in a lot of aspects of life. But then there are other aspects of life where you just do the thing because you have to do it. For example, like my son with diabetes. I remember when I went to the grocery store one morning on the way to the hospital right after my son was diagnosed, he was still hospitalized. So I went to the grocery store to pick up some food to bring to him. And this woman stopped me and she goes, "Oh, I can never do what you're doing right now. I just couldn't do that." And in my head, I was like, well, but of course you would. Like, I didn't know how to respond to that. But in my head, I was like, but of course you would, because it would be your child. And of course you just would. So sometimes it's not so much about being strong, it's just doing the things that you have to do that I guess to other people seem really strong. But the other people would do the same thing in that situation. They're just not in that particular situation, but they have their own situations. So anyways, okay, next question. Okay, so this is asking, how strictly do Sephardic Jews keep the custom of not eating fish and dairy together? So what if a Sephardic Jew decided after much thought to adopt the Ashkenazi custom instead? As a non-Jew, it would seem to me that such choices would be in the realm of personal preference, since the definition of meat isn't necessarily agreed upon among all Orthodox Jews. Okay, The definition of meat is agreed upon amongst all Orthodox Jews. Fish is not meat. No, none of us eat fish and meat together, for example. And only some of us will eat fish and dairy together. Some of us do not. So yeah, there's no argument over the definition of meat. So, okay, hope that clears that part up. Now, as far as like just adopting a new custom, that's just not what we do. So what is halakha for me can be a little bit different than what is halakha, Jewish law. Halakha is Jewish law. So what can be Jewish law for me can be a little bit different for somebody else. For example, on Passover, I can eat rice, and it's totally permissible for me to eat rice during Passover. For my Ashkenaz friends, totally not permitted, completely not allowed, according to Jewish law. And that's totally fine, and that is just the way that it is. It's not like the Catholic Church where there's a pope in charge who tells everybody what to do and things trickle down from the one person. We have a lot of people within Jewish law that are interpreting Jewish law. So these different traditions do end up with different laws, and that is okay, and that's just the way that it is. We wouldn't go off and change those just because we felt like doing something else. That would not be permitted. That would not be okay. In other words, to answer your question, this is not within the realm of personal choice. This is still Jewish law for us. Okay, next question. I'd love to learn more about how you celebrate Hanukkah. For example, is there a Jewish equivalent to Christmas carols? There is no Jewish equivalent to Christmas carols. There are some prayers that we will sing when we light our Hanukkah, our menorah, but it's not like a Christmas carol. Totally different thing. And is there anything specific to this holiday that you do at home to set this particular festive spirit, like a Jewish equivalent to bringing home the Christmas tree? Okay, Christmas and Hanukkah, first of all, have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with each other. Hanukkah is a minor holiday. Christmas is a major holiday for Christians. And yeah, Hanukkah is a minor holiday for the Jews. There's no fasting, there's no meal obligations, there's no Yom Tov where we can't drive, things like that. You know, we light our Hanukkah. It's a fun holiday, but it gets a lot of hype in America just because it's nearby Christmas, but like it is not a major holiday for us, like whatsoever. Traditionally, we make donuts. The Ashkenaz eat sufganiyot and we eat spinach, which I need to make for you guys here on the channel because I have now mastered spinach from my mother-in-law and they're amazing. Okay, what else is on this question? Okay, so that's that. Basically, Christmas and Hanukkah, totally separate, totally different, have nothing to do with each other. The practices don't have anything to do with each other. The history doesn't have anything to do with each other. It's really just America hyping up. It's like commercialism in America hyping up Hanukkah because it's near Christmas, which is silly from a Jewish perspective, because it is not a major holiday. It'd be cool if they would hype up like Rosh Hashanah, you know, like that would be cool. Get a lot of like pomegranate stuff and apple stuff and like, yeah, let's hype up the high holidays. That would be awesome. Okay, next question. How did you adjust to learning and actively doing all the morning prayers? I'm really wanting to commit, but finding it hard to learn them and get into the beautiful habit all in one go. Okay, so for me, it was just building. It was waking up before my kids, which I said last time, and then building up to more prayers. I didn't always say Shema every day. I started with morning blessings and Torah blessings, and then I added in Shema and Amidah. I don't remember exactly what order I added those in. I've had a pretty good prayer routine now for quite a few years, so I don't remember exactly like how I got going and everything, but I do know that things were added in as I could. Yeah, it's just kind of practicing it every day, setting aside that time for it. And during times when I've really struggled to motivate myself to do it, I would literally reward myself with a candy when I'm done, like a child, and that's okay. Okay, next question. How is your family doing mentally after everything that happened in Israel? It's still crazy. It's hard and complicated, and I don't know that I'm the right person to answer that at all. Some of my family is literally still here in America because they haven't been able to get back. Though some is going back. I guess by the time this video is out, they'll be back in Israel. And yeah, I don't know. Israel's different. It's not like here. Everybody that I know in Israel keeps telling me like that it's way worse here because of all the anti-Semitism and because the news is like so negative, but like in Israel, everything is full of hope. So I don't know. But they're also having to, you know, go to shelters like every day because rockets. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm the right person to ask. Okay, next question. Do you have any crafts in the works, like a quilt project or an embroidery project? So what do I have right now? I just made a planner for myself. Hold on. Okay, so I just made this planner for myself. I made it totally from scratch. Like I have like the book backing board. I got a spiral binding thing and I like literally, I printed every page. I bound it all myself. Like I love this. I love this so much. Like I'm not gonna show you all the inside because it's all written up already. But this is my planner for next year and it is awesome. It is super awesome. I definitely consider my book journal still to be like a craft project because it's, you know, all the pictures and the tape and everything, like that's fun. And I've been doing some just like general paper crafts for things, making different props and things for our game night. So that's been fun. And other than that, there's a cross stitch project that I've been working on for a while of the Western Wall. I had made one small and now I'm making it bigger, but that's kind of been on pause for a little while. Baby Firefly is at a stage where it's almost impossible to get literally anything done. I'm literally not even baking challah right now, which breaks my heart, but safety of my child comes first, and he is trouble these days. The cutest trouble you've ever seen, but trouble. Okay, next question. You're having a dinner party and you can invite 3 people. 1 is a fictional character from a book or a movie. 2 is a biblical character, and 3 is a famous historical or real person from the past. Okay, best dinner party ever. Okay, so my fictional character from a book or a movie, this is very difficult because it would either be Sherlock Holmes or Jean-Luc Picard. Okay, Jean-Luc Picard. We're going with Jean-Luc Picard. Okay, little Star Trek there for you. Number 2, the biblical character, Devorah, the prophetess, Devorah. She was amazing. I would love to talk to her about just so many things, so many things. Okay, and then a famous historical or real person from the past would be the Baba Sali. That, wow, would be amazing. Yes. Okay, that is my dinner party. All right, next question. Best curriculum or computer program for teaching or learning Hebrew? I don't know of any on the computer. I've just used books to teach how to read. We've used TalkBox. If you're interested in that, let me know. I'll get you a discount code. I don't know of a computer program. There may be one out there. If you guys know of a good computer program for teaching Hebrew, learning Hebrew, please drop it down in the comments below. Oh, and of course, if you guys have more questions, drop them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them there in the comments for you. And like this video, please, and subscribe because that really helps me out a lot. Thank you very much for that in advance. And just drop down and say hi. All of your comments really help my channel, so thank you. Okay. Next question. Describe the role that you think that women should have in Judaism. I think the role that we have is fine. We're the mothers. We're creating the next generation of Jews. We're raising up the next generation of Jews. That's a massive responsibility. All right, next question. How soon do your children start preparing for their bar or bat mitzvah? So about a year or so in advance, I think is normal. We're still far away enough from that we're not having to think too much about it still, but we are getting closer every year. So yeah, usually kids start about a year before. Next question. I know Hanukkah is a minor Jewish holiday. What is your favorite holiday to celebrate? So I really love Pesach, Passover, and I really love Purim. Those two are they're fantastically fun holidays. If I had to pick like just one, probably Purim, just because it's so much fun, but Pesach is very special also. Okay, next question. What music are you listening to these days? I'm not listening to a whole lot of music, but what I have done is made a little playlist on Pandora of some of my favorite Israeli songs. So when I do want to listen to music, I'm listening to that. But for the most, I'm not listening to a whole lot of music right now. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. I'm listening to a lot of like YouTube videos that you can listen to with just the audio, you know, where it's like a YouTube video, but it's like this, where it's just somebody talking. So it's essentially like a podcast, but there's video. So that's kind of what I'm filling my ears with these days, or I'm just not. I've been trying to embrace more silence. So not silence, I guess, but like not being plugged into my phone. All right, next question. Are your children interested in team sports activities like soccer, basketball, etc.? No, they're not. They've expressed zero interest in anything like that. They just enjoy playing with their friends. All right, next question. I understand that Jewish births happen differently than Gentiles. Can you elaborate more on different customs? I think they're pretty much the same. Is it true that the husband doesn't touch his wife for a certain period of time? Oh yes, that is true. Can you have an epidural? Yes, I've had one every time. Do you have home births or hospital births? I have always had hospital births. I know women, Jewish women who have gone to birth centers, who have home birth, kind of everything. We can do whatever we want. The next question, is your husband present during the birth? Yes, my husband is present during the birth. Last part of this is there a certain way the gender of the baby is announced? So the gender of the baby can just be like announced whenever. There's nothing about that. There's no rules about that. I don't know of any customs about that. You could just tell people, you know, I had a girl, I had a boy, whatever, you know? Okay, next question. Can a Jewish person stand in as a godparent for a non-Jewish person? I don't know why a non-Jewish person would want a Jewish person to be a godparent, because you choose, it's my understanding that the godparent is kind of like who would take over spiritually raising the child in the event that their parents were no longer able to do that. So it wouldn't make sense to choose somebody of a different religion for that. Okay, next question. Texas sunrise sunset times are fairly stable compared to cities of the far north. I'm thinking Canada, Alaska, and Scandinavia. They can have 18 to 20 hours of light and dark depending on the time of year. How do they adjust for Shabbat? I always have to Google this. There are answers to this if you Google it online, like Shabbat in Finland or something. I don't know, Scandinavian country. There is a way that they figure it out. I don't know what it is, but their Shabbat times are going to be way off what mine are. Even just in like Israel, I know Shabbat can start at like 4 o'clock. And I think when my husband was living in England, he was saying like Shabbat would end at like 11 o'clock at night sometimes. Like it can get way off. Where I am in Texas, things are pretty normal. I think the latest Shabbat will go is around 9. The earliest is around 5. So even then, that's a 4-hour window throughout the year as it changes, but I consider that pretty stable. But you can figure it out, and you can also look up like what are the Shabbat times in Finland or Scandinavia or whatever. You can look that up online and it will tell you. So that might help. Next question. Do you feel safe in your community and when running errands, etc., in light of the growing anti-Semitism in the world? I do. I also live in Texas though. I don't live in LA. If I lived in LA, I'd leave. Okay, next question. What form do the religious classes you do take? Do you take in turns to lead them? So I give a Parsha class where I lead a class on the Parsha, the weekly Torah portion each week. And then I attend a class, which is a deep dive into this one particular chapter of Tehillim 119. It's the longest one. It's fascinating. And that one is online. My class is in person that I lead. The one that I take is online. And it's a Zoom conversation that we have after we have watched a video online. So those are the two different ways that I'm currently taking classes. And there are periodic classes that are offered in person that I will sometimes go to, but they're not like regular events like these two. Okay, next question. I've learned from you that Jewish woman begins to cover her hair after she is married. But if a Jewish woman were to be widowed, would she continue to cover her hair, or is this a personal choice rather than required? So the obligation is to cover your hair from the time that you are married. So after your husband is deceased or after you are divorced, those women still continue to cover their hair. They could have a conversation with their rabbi and see if they could do differently, but in general, yes, they're still covering their hair. Okay, next question. What is yours and kids' favorite thing during Shabbat? Probably when we play games together or go for walks together. We love both of those. Next question. What do you do by yourself for self-care? When am I by myself? Let's start there. Okay, my book journal is for sure self-care. When I take my kids to the park, we usually are meeting up with friends and then I'm hanging out with my friends. That to me is self-care. I'm not like a bubble bath, get your nails done kind of self-care person. Those things are not fun for me. Like I don't do them because they're not fun. Also, even just laying in bed after everyone's gone to sleep and kind of having that quiet time and playing on the internet or whatever, like that's self-care, I guess. Or just sneaking into the laundry room and grabbing some ice cream out of the freezer and eating a couple of spoonfuls in the afternoon. Self-care. I'm not real big on self-care. I don't feel like I need it. Me keeping busy is kind of like self-care for me. All right, next question. Do you feel like you bring anything from your previous religious experiences to your current Jewish practice? I would say a belief in God. I come from a Catholic background, and Catholicism is a very traditional religion, very tradition-based, and does do yearly cyclical things. So those aspects, I guess, carry on. Like there's a comfort in the familiarity of those sorts of things, but it is obviously incredibly, incredibly different. So next question. Did you notice anti-Semitism prior to converting? Yes, but not as much as there have been in recent weeks. Next question. How has it been to experience anti-Semitism now? It stinks. Very much, very much. Oh, it's not fun. It stinks. We're just gonna leave it at that. Okay, next question. How do you wake up early and manage to stay up late for Shabbat and holidays without being completely exhausted? Oh no, they're exhausting. They're for sure exhausting. Don't let my attitude fool you. They definitely get exhausting. By the time Friday night rolls around, especially in the summer when it's really late, I'm like toast. I'm so toast. We never have guests Friday night during the summer because it's too late. During the winter, lately we have not been having guests on Friday night, and that's been kind of nice, but I wouldn't mind if we did. But yeah, especially for things like Passover, Pesach, when we do the Pesach Seder, we're up till like 1 a.m. I am not good at that. Not at all. Yeah, I get so tired. There's a lot of prep work involved, a lot of like work and physical labor with the cooking and the setting of the table and all the things and the kids, and it is hard and you get exhausted, and that's okay. By Friday night, usually I'm just toast. No matter what time of year, I'm toast. You know, we eat a quick dinner and then I'm maybe a chapter of a book if I'm lucky. Sometimes it's half a page and I'm falling asleep, and that's okay too. Okay, next question. How do you manage to homeschool 3 children when the baby is running around demanding attention? It's not so much that he's demanding attention as that he's getting into troubles. And we're not managing to get so much homeschool done right now. I've really had to pivot this year and turn it into what is the bare minimum that I need to get done this year, and we're gonna do those things. I have a list of the bare minimum that I wanna get done this year, and just trying to do my best to keep us on track with that. This is why, by the way, I took no time off from homeschooling when baby Firefly was born. Like pretty much, I think maybe I took like a couple days off after I got home from the hospital, but like as soon as I was on my feet, we were homeschooling again, because I knew like that's the easy time to homeschool, is when you have an infant, because all they do is eat and sleep and poop. This is the hard time when they're running around being toddlers. So I'm okay being a little bit more in slacker mode now because we did not stop before. Okay, next question. I know you like to read. What are you currently reading? Also, what are your favorite books, religious and secular? So I already answered some of that with the favorite books. What are some of my favorite books that I have read this year? I have a list in my book. Okay, I have read this year. I've read 42 books so far this year, so I am a far cry from the 90 that I had the goal of reading, but I still consider this a win because that is about 42 more books than I read last year. Not really. I did read some last year. I read a lot last year. Okay, not this much though. Some of my favorite books this year were the book Holy Woman. It's a biography. Charlotte's Web, because I read that again. Living to Helm, it's a series. They're amazing. Sense and Sensibility, Battle Cry of Freedom, the Rebbetzin Kanievsky biography, Amuna with Love and Chicken Soup, Little Women, Shalom Rav. It's a Parsha commentary by Shalom Rosner. Amazing. So I've read those. There's 2 of them. The Sweetest Hour. Yeah, there's just so many good books. The Green Ember was a great book. That one's a kid's book. That was really good. I'm flipping through now. We really enjoyed Pinocchio earlier this year. I read some cozy mysteries that where I was like, why did I waste my time with that? I read Out of the Silent Planet because I was trying to like find a good sci-fi book and I just didn't love it at all. Stink Reflections, the Fly Lady book, I read that. That was enjoyable. The Bubba Sally biography, that one was really good. Okay, so what am I reading right now? I am reading Chronicles. I am reading a Chafetz Chaim lesson a day book. I am reading, well, I'm reading the Parsha every week, so I'm reading the Torah, the Chumash. We're reading the Penderwicks as our read aloud book here at home. I'm finishing up Little White Horse on my own. The kids were just not as interested in that, sadly, as I had hopes. But they're enjoying the Penderwicks a lot more. They're actually asking me every day, when are you gonna let us know what happens next? Because we haven't had time to sit back and read for a couple of days. Next question, how long did your process of converting to Judaism take? Would you say it's long or short compared to others? So I'm just gonna link to my conversion story down in the description box below because this question does come up a lot. It took me so I did a Reform conversion and then I did an Orthodox conversion. So the whole process was like almost 10 years, but the Orthodox conversion process was like year and a half. So that is the final question. So we are done here and this video is getting super long. I don't know how long it's going to edit down to, but I've been talking for about 47 minutes now. Now I need to go get a drink of water. But thank you all so much for being here. As always, I super appreciate it. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and I'll see you in my next upload. Better with it, just like where's my paper? However, there's an ice cream truck driving by.